Hey everyone, it's lauraxstitches, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're doing a tutorial on how I park and stitch every Pokemon, and also a bit of a stitch with me. I've got a couple of tags I'd like to do as well. I just did 15 minutes of filming and then I had like 3 interruptions. I'm really hoping that now we're good and now I don't have to do it again. A couple of things about this project. This is on 18 count Ada, just a normal Ada. Obviously I grid myself and I made a mistake here, so I have to do a line. I didn't know that easy count existed before I started this, so that's why it's on there. This frame is one of Pa's ones from when he did tapestry before he passed away, and Granny let me borrow it or have it, I don't really know, for this project because it's so big. Doesn't have great tension, as you can see, so I'm just going to have to deal with it. And this stops here when I flip it over. So you'll kind of see me diving underneath there for threads and everything. The plan is I'm going to kind of talk about how I park, what I like to do, what my preferences are, and then in the midst of all that do a couple of different tags that I haven't done before. I've just moved my lighting so I should be able to see a bit better, but we'll just kind of see how we go. So what I'm doing at the moment is the first block of page 8. I finished page 7 last night, which is excellent. And today's Pokemon Days in the Pokemon Cross Stitches Facebook group. So the aim of that is to stitch on something Pokemon related, even if it's just for a little bit. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm going to stitch for this. I'm going to try and get even just one block done. And then I'm going to go back to the baby sampler because I want to do some non-full coverage stitching for a little bit. So I'm stitching on one particular colour. This colour is 3011. This pattern is free, so that's why it's just chilling there. So I just stitch in 10 by 10 blocks, obviously. It's what I prefer. I have tried cross country for full coverage and I can't seem to get it to work for me, which is fine. I'd prefer to have my stitching organised into these 10 by 10 blocks so I can kind of gauge where I'm at. It just helps my brain a bit better. So I think I've just stitched all of that colour on this page, I'm pretty sure. So what I do now is, well, firstly, I don't really care about the back of my work, but I don't like to carry more than 20 stitches. Excuse me. Or 2 blocks. Just because of wastage, really. I think, like, I don't like to do a large amount. Like, I wouldn't do a whole page kind of thing. So I will check the block underneath. I don't think I mentioned that I stitch diagonally now. So I used to stitch in 10 by 10 blocks column. Then I switched to rows and now I'm doing diagonal. So I'll stitch this first block in the corner and then I'll go to the right and then diagonally down. Then I'll go back up to the top and do the next 3, and it gets gradually bigger to the biggest it can get, and then it will go down to just back to here, which is behind that page. You can't really see it. So now that I've finished this colour, I'm going to look to the bottom block, so underneath that block, and see if there's any of that colour in there. There isn't. So then I'm going to look to the side, to the right, and there is in that block. And it's in the second column and third stitch down. So I'm going to go to the second column, 1, 2, 3 down. I just pull it through, take out the needle, and then if it's on that side, I'm going to push it towards the side there, just so I can have a clear space for this current block that I'm working on. I know people don't like parking because it can hang down and it's in your way, and that's fair enough. I use my needle minders to help me with that. I kind of wrap them around when I get to a lot of colours. I find with every Pokemon you don't get like heaps of colours that you usually do. I don't know if it's because of the way that I don't carry, or I don't know what it is, but I don't have like 40 threads at a time staring at me in the face. I'll just kind of explain what I would do in this next block. Okay, So if I had a colour, say that there's this black thread here that I stitched earlier today, and it's in the block underneath, because the next block I'm going to stitch is the one on the right, not the one underneath, I'll start a new black thread and work that down. I don't know if that really makes sense, but at one time I could have 6 black threads coming down, just because it's easy for me to start new ones, instead of me trying to get it to go everywhere with just one thread. So every time I start a block at the top, and let's say it is black, I'll start a new black thread. I don't know if that really made sense. If that doesn't make sense to you, please let me know and I'll try and explain it a bit better. I would also usually highlight that I'm finished that colour, but my highlighter's run out, so I need to get a new one. And I don't highlight where I've parked. I just don't find that I need to. It's not like a big deal for me. I feel like I can find the colour quite easily, or the thread quite easily that I need to work on. I don't know, I've never needed to highlight that. Just not something I do. So I'm just going to get into the next colour. So I just kind of work across the top row of each block and work on those colours, colour at a time, and then just keep going until the block is finished. These needle minders, by the way, the Diamante dog over here, that's from Adele. This bat one is from Tash, the star cross stitcher, as part of her 1000 subscribers giveaway. And this little flower here is from JK's Cross Stitch Supplies. She's awesome. She'll give you a free needle minder with every purchase. I mean, that's what I've had, so I'm assuming it happens to everyone. But her shop is currently closed for the holidays, and she's opening up, I think, next week, maybe the week after. But she deserves it. The amount of work that woman does is unbelievable. Anyway, so I'm going to try my two-handed stitching. It's a bit of an awkward angle. I'm not sitting where I usually do just because I couldn't get a good angle, and I still haven't got the best, so I do apologise for that. I'm going to work on it for my next stitch with me. I'd love to have it so you can be like as if you were right there, but I don't know, it's a bit awkward for the devices that I have. So the first tag I'm going to do is the Old Faithful Know Your Needle Worker, because I've never done it. You probably all know about these, what my answers would be, but I'm still going to go through it. I'm going to answer in as much detail as I can. And then there's another cross stitch tag I'm going to do. I don't remember the name of it though. Okie dokie, the first question I think is, where do you live? I live in Victoria in Australia. I live in a country town. I'm a country girl, that's me. I live about 2 hours north of Melbourne. Pretty easy drive to get there. It's very, very straight, as is much of Australia, straight roads. I grew up in this area. I grew up in the town next to the one I'm in at the moment. I went to school in the kind of regional city, I guess you'd call it, in high school. And I moved out of my parents' house when I was 17 because I started school when I was 4, turning 5 instead of 5 turning 6, because I was born in February and the way that the school year is in Australia. I could start school then, and I did, because I was very much ready for school. I was over kindergarten. I just wanted to be at school with my sister, so that's what happened. So I moved out of home when I was turning 18. That was short-lived. I moved back, and then the next year I moved out again for 5 years. I think it was 5 years. Let me think. 12... Oh, 4.5. Then I moved back home for about a month, and then I moved out with Matthew. Oh, good. I stitched it in the right place. I thought I stitched it in the wrong place. And we moved out into the kind of regional city, where I went to school. And then we've moved again a year later into this house that we bought. And it's in between the town where I grew up and the town where I went to school. So that's nice. It's about a 15-minute drive to work. I really like it here. I can visit the city, but I don't want to live there. I don't even want to live in the suburbs. I've done that. It's just not my kind of thing. I like the country life, and it's the kind of place where I want to raise a family and things like that, because I loved it so much. Maybe my kids will hate it, I don't know, but they're going to start living here and they can do what they want. I might just quickly turn on the fan, guys. It's just a bit warm. So excuse me for a moment. Yes, so that is where I live. So the tag's on my phone. I need to look at it. What do I do for a living? I think we all know. I am a primary school teacher. I'm going into my second year as that. I actually teach at the primary school I used to go to. Excuse me, I love that school. So, sorry to stop the tag. I've just finished this colour and I'm going to put it here in the block underneath because that's where the next stitch is of it. So I'll pull that through and drag it off to the side. I'll probably wrap it around the dog's ear. This column here, this block here next to it, not underneath, next to it, which is where I'm going to stitch next, has that colour in it. So I'm going to start a new thread here of this colour and work it down the block, down the column. Instead of me zigzagging this one everywhere, I'll usually have 2 threads going at the same time, or like I said, up to 6. I hope that makes sense. Yeah, so I love the school that I teach at. I don't want to leave that school for a while. I find that the staff there are brilliant, the families are brilliant, the kids are great. Don't have any or many issues. I'm teaching the same cohort of students, but obviously upper grade. So last year I taught a composite class of 3-4, and this year I'm teaching a composite class of 4-5. So I've got about half the kids I had last year and then half from another class. So that's exciting. I'm excited to have, of course, I'm finding with this fabric, I can just slip and not get it quite in the hole. It's going into like just underneath it, and it's really frustrating because it's not quite right and it leaves a bit of white showing. It's really annoying. Anyway, I'm excited to have a new group of kids. It's going to be fun. And I've just spent the morning kind of beginning to set up my classroom. I just wanted to go in with my friend from school, and we both did it to both our rooms, and now we'll probably go back in next week just to kind of start thinking about it again, because I've got a few things I need to do, because I'm too busy just sitting around stitching, aren't I? Which is fun. So that's that question. Let's go to the next one. Please don't start barking. Naughty dogs. Okay. Do you have any other hobbies other than cross stitch? Not really. I really enjoy cross stitching, so it's hard for me to kind of give up my time on it. I used to game a fair bit on RPG games, like Guild Wars. I played WoW for a bit. I played Black Desert Online for a little bit, didn't like it. That was kind of a bit of an addiction I had to stop. I was spending way too much time. This is a couple of years ago. I was spending way too much time on there and not spending enough time doing my uni work or doing anything else. I would get up earlier than I normally would just so I could get on, play, stop to eat, play, stop to eat, play, sleep. It was really bad. So I kind of stopped myself when I came to my last year of uni mid-year. I did a placement at the school I'm currently teaching at, and I obviously couldn't play because I had to teach like a full-time job, and I just kind of was like, whoa, what have I been doing? So I stopped doing that. In terms of now, hobbies. Well, we play D&D, that's a hobby. I actually need to get the next session ready. That's really fun. I encourage everyone to play a tabletop game once in their life that isn't Monopoly. It's just fun, and it sounds like super nerdy, and I mean it is, but oh man, you know when you're doing a full coverage and you're like, oh, there's nothing left on that, I can end my thread. No, I missed a stitch, that's alright, I'll fix it. It's really fun. It's nerdy, but it's fun. It's like a guilty pleasure kind of thing. You get to play as a heroic so-and-so that slays stuff. It's just fun. It's just different. So I really enjoy doing that. That's probably my other main hobby. We've been playing a bit of Just Dance. That's fun. Love Just Dance. I get to smash Matt in it, and I never beat him in games, so that's cool. Yeah, so I guess they're my other hobbies. Do I have any kids? No. No, I don't. I have a nephew who's 8, but I don't have any kids. One day, but that's not today. The next question is, do I have any pets? And you guys know I have 2 beautiful girls. I'd show you them, but I don't want to lose this camera angle. My iPad's like just staying properly. I've got 2 red heelers. Their names are Evie and Sky. They are, how old are they? They turned a year old at the start of August. So they're getting towards 18 months, but not quite. They're annoying, they're frustrating, but they're dogs. That's what dogs are. So I really enjoy them. They're having a snooze at the door because apparently I need protecting from the evil people outside. Okay, what's the next question before I keep going with that colour? What is my favourite movie? You can ask Matt. I'm not a massive movie person. I don't like to watch movies over and over again. I guess I'm a bit particular on what kind of movies I like to watch. Sorry, I'm just looking to see if this colour is anywhere else, but I don't think it is. So I'm going to flip it up into my beautiful backside and just finish it off like this. I just tuck it underneath the threads. And does anyone else do that a lot? I especially do it with my full coverage pieces. I put the needle on the back and then I just reach around and grab it. Don't know. I'm very particular with movies. Like, I'm not a big rom-com person. I hate cringy comedy. It makes me, I feel so uncomfortable watching it. So I got like a visceral reaction. It's just not something I like, I guess. What is the next colour? I think it's this one. Yep. I really like, obviously, Harry Potter. Love Harry Potter movies. I think I'm big into like fantasy trilogies and series and things because I like Harry Potter, I love Star Wars, I love Lord of the Rings. Like, I don't know what's wrong with me. The kind of movies I like. I'm a big fan of documentaries. I will watch a documentary over a movie any day. So if you've got any documentaries that you want to recommend to me, hit me up. Especially if they're on Netflix because it's easier for me to get. But if they're anywhere else, let me know and I'll watch them. Do really long stand-up comedy specials count? Because I'm into those too. I recently watched the Dave Chappelle Netflix special that recently came out. it was funny in parts. Some parts I'm like, oh, but that's kind of him, isn't it? So I don't know. But yeah, any documentary recommendations, let me know. Because I love them. Matt doesn't. I mean, he does if they're about things that he likes. So I don't know. If this cuts out, it's going to be really annoying. But I'll do my best to kind of end it properly. What's next? I have a feeling it's the question about TV shows. Yep. I love The Crown. I'm into the show Victoria as well. I've watched the first season, which is all that's on Netflix. And I need to find the second season so I can watch that. They're the kind of shows I'm into, like obviously based on real life, like documentaries. So I don't know why that kind of thing really intrigues me. And even books that are based on real stories, really into those. Like I remember reading when I was in primary school a book, I think it was called My Story, and it was based around a young girl who was living at home, and it was either her father or her older brother, I think it might have been her father, had gone to the First World War and came back like completely different, and she was shadowing or working for a doctor when the influenza flu came to Australia. And influenza flu, it sounds dumb. When that came to Australia after the war, and it was just so interesting. And that's even me at like 10, 11 years old reading that. I don't know, that's just my kind of thing. And I see myself doing that in the classroom too, and the kids like, but I love that kind of stuff. So those kind of TV shows where they're based on something real. I really do like the Netflix original series. I don't know, I think they've done them really well. Which is good. Would suck if they didn't. Let's see what's the next question is. Favourite music genre? I'm not too fussy. I don't mind most music. I'm very heavily into K-pop at the moment. Which, if you don't know, is Korean pop music. I know, sounds ridiculous. I've forgotten where I'm up to. There I am. But they're amazing. And it kind of speaks, I was thinking about it in the car before when I was listening to some. It kind of speaks to them if they can make music that people like without even being able to understand what it's about. Like, it has random English sentences in them, which is great because you can like really sing those bits. But I don't know, it's kind of awesome that they're able to tap into English speaking audiences even though their songs are like completely in Korean. Really like that at the moment. But I'm not too fussy. Like, I don't mind. You can show me some music if you like. The only kind of stuff I don't like is like your death metal. That's not really my thing. It used to be, but I kind of, I guess, grew out of it. I don't know. What else is not my favourite? I don't often listen to country music. I used to in, I think, 2012 because the guy I was dating really liked it and I kind of like got into it. But now it just brings back bad memories. So I don't listen to that anymore. If you want to hear about my dating escapades and adventures, just let me know. And I'll do some Stitch With Me videos with story time. Story time with Laura. That could be fun. I seem to have dated a couple of interesting people in my life. I wouldn't name names or anything, even though they never say this, but I still wouldn't name names. Anywho, let's move on to the next question. How did I get onto that from music? My goodness. Favourite book? Did you hear that? That was my Google Home saying that they couldn't help me with something when I never even said the right words to make it work. See, like, I'll say it now. Hey Google, what's the weather? I didn't say those words before. Also, I just realised she said where I live, so I might have to edit or bleep that out or something. I don't know. Anyway, that's annoying. I'm going to have to edit this video. Dang it. All right. The next one was about books, what my favourite book is. So by the way, I just finished that colour, just pulled it through, letting it go. Letting it go. I'm sorry. This is what happens when you just hang out with me. So I've kind of pushed them all over to this needle minder. This is getting full. That's the current box I'm doing. Thanks, guys. Also, I find that I'm not getting grid lines on this. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because of it's so crazy and there's so many different colours, but I don't get grid lines on this piece. So I don't mind doing an exact box. If, for example, especially when you get to the end of a page, if there's one stitch of that colour that you've been working on in the next box, I'll stitch it then, instead of having to unthread my needle and thread it again later just to do one stitch. I'll just do it then and get it out of the way. But it's up to you. Okay, books. Did I even say Harry Potter? All-time favourite books. And like I said before, any books that are kind of based on real life stuff, I like those. Last question for this tag is, what one word describes you best? That's really difficult. My boyfriend would say that I am whiny, probably, or lazy. Lazy is a good word. No, it's not. That's horrible. Hopefully he wouldn't call me lazy. Hopefully he'd say something nice. Oh, it's purple. I wonder what we're stitching. Unique's a good word. I think I'm a unique person. Friend? I think I'd probably go with friend. Because I don't mind being friends with people. I like making friends, especially online. I don't know, I just find myself much more comfortable online. I guess because you don't have to be like actually talking to people in real life. But I really like making friends online. Like the past, all of my serious boyfriends that I've had ever, which has been 4, including Matt, who's the most serious, I've met them online. And that was, like, I know that started to get kind of more normal, I guess, more recently. But the first one that I met, it was when it was not 100% normal to do that. And I kind of hid it from a lot of people, but then I got over it. But yeah, I think I would use friend. I do really like making friends. If anybody messages me on Instagram about anything, I'm always like, hi, how are you? Like, I like kind of, yeah, making friends. I don't really know how else to explain that. So if you need a friend, hit me up on Instagram. Remember, I am in an Australian time zone, so I might be asleep. But I've been going to bed pretty late and getting up pretty early recently just because that's how I am, apparently, on holidays, which does not make sense. But yeah, if you want to chat, I'm always down to chat if I'm awake. If I'm stitching something like this, I'll usually stitch a colour, then reply to your message, and then stitch another colour, then reply to the next. Like, that's how I kind of work. Just depends what I'm doing. But I'm happy to hang out anytime. I just realised that I haven't, because I took out all the colours for this block before I started this video, and there's one that I've just seen that I haven't got out. So this block is going to be almost finished when this video ends, but not completely. Okay, the next tag I have, I think it's another cross stitch one. It's called cross stitch tag, so we're going to talk just about cross stitch. But you know me, I'll probably do a tangent. Okay, the first question is, how did you start? Who introduced you to cross stitching? And I have kind of talked about this before. I was just seeing if my video stopped at 30 minutes, but it didn't. I've talked about this before. But I started cross stitching when I was quite young. My mum and my grandma taught me. Granny taught me because they both did it. Let's unpick that one and try that one again. Oops, that was my fault. I clicked on a Facebook notification when I shouldn't have. I tried to swipe it up, but I couldn't do it. Anyway, I got into cross stitch because my mum and granny did it and they taught me. I stopped doing it for ages, probably over 10 years, probably more. And then in 2016, when I'd moved back home for that month that I talked about before, Mum had found, I think she'd found a cross-stitch kit somewhere, or she was cross-stitching something, and I said, I want one. I want to do one. And then she found me a couple at an op shop for like 50 cents. And I kind of did them really quickly and couldn't help myself anymore, and then that became my new hobby. That kind of took over from when I stopped that gaming that was really bad. And if you ask Matt, he would say that I'm addicted to cross-stitching, and you're right. He's right, I am. But I think it's a much more, for me, and this, I'm not saying this against any gamers because Matt is one, I'm dating one. I think it's better for me in terms of social, in terms of productivity around my day. I don't know, I just find it much more beneficial for me. And then when I'd finished those two kits, we went and bought a World of Cross Stitching magazine, I think it was called, and they had some kits in there, like a free kit, so I did that. And then it just went whoop, and then I just kept going. And I haven't really stopped since. Excuse me, I've stopped a couple of times because of teaching, but not intense. Favorite theme or designer? Obviously I really like the modern stitching. So like this, Clouds Factory stuff, like the modern-esque kind of things. That's kind of my style. If I have a style, that would be it. I love samplers and things, and I think I will do one day, but I don't think I'm ready. Not that I'm not ready, like you're always ready to do something in cross stitch. It's the same technique, just it looks different. But I don't think I want to do one yet, but I think I will eventually. I really like them. I like the kind of history that it that has in it. But yeah, at the moment I'm really into the modern stuff, including things like Stitch Rovia. That's another designer that I like, Emma Condon. Clouds Factory. Yeah. And like the Etsy shops as well that have their own patterns too that are like that. They're cool as well. I don't know if I mentioned it before, but this is on Sprite Stitch, Epic Pokemon. It's a free. I know, free. I should probably mention as well, I'm doing the extended edition, and I don't know if you can see that, but the Pokemon on the edges are complete. In the normal one, they actually cut off about there, and it's a straight page. This is available if you search Epic Pokemon Extended Edition Reddit. It is on Reddit. That's where I found it. Or I think actually Matt found it for me. I don't know if it's anywhere else, but it's just a Google Drive doc that I have, and I can go back to it on my phone whenever I need it. Yeah, and I really love this. I love having the Pokemon at the edge. I'm obviously not stitching any of that blue background. I do stitch it though. I think you can kind of see that blue there. That's the blue background colour, and I stitch it in between the Pokemon in here, but I don't stitch it on the outside of them. Hope that made sense. So yeah, those designers and that style is kind of my thing. And the next question is about floss. What brand of floss do you use? I use DMC for most things, if not everything. I recently used my first week's Dyeworks in the Clouds Factory sale for this year, the Legendary Creatures sale. Loved it. Looks amazing. I didn't feel anything different in it, but the variegated was awesome. I don't think I've used Anchor before. I don't, you can't really get it around here, so there's no point in me using Anchor. There's like a home brand kind of floss that I've used that it's alright, but it's one of these yellows in here that I have because I couldn't find it in the DMC around here. It's alright. It's definitely not the same. It just looks duller. More dull. I don't know which one's the right word. And I'm a teacher. Haha. Okie dokie. Just getting some of this purple in. We're getting close to the end of this block, people. Which is great because it's always hard to start a new page. Like, you kind of get over the hurdle. Oh, I've just finished a page. Now I have to start another one. And I have to do, 18 more pages? 17 more pages? Like, it's intense. I think it's 17 more pages. Let me count. Yep. No. Yep, it is. What's my fabric of choice? 32 count Lugana, or actually 32 count Jobelan is my preferred choice. I love the feel of Jobelan. It's so soft. It glides my needle through. It's amazing. I used to get my Fabric of the Month by Colour Cascade fabrics in that, but she had massive issues with her supplier, so I switched to Lugana, which I don't mind. That's my second choice. Ada's not an issue for me. I don't mind Ada. It's nice to come back to it every now and again to kind of have bigger holes, bigger stitches, not only bigger stitches but bigger holes, easier counting as well. But I do really like the look of the even weaves. I haven't stitched on a proper linen yet. I have got one piece that's on linen, even though it was meant to be even weave, that I ordered. And I don't mind it. There's not too many slubs or anything in it. I don't know what I would do if there were massive slubs. I'd probably be a bit like, Probably message Adele and be like, what do I do? Because I message her about everything. She's like my cross-stitching guardian angel. Fairy godmother. One or the other. She's something like that. Okay. What's the next one? We've done fabric, we've done floss. What brand? Oh, do you use a needle threader or are you a floss licker? I am a floss licker. I've never used a needle threader. I have one. I've just never chose to use it. I just find it easier to lick the thread and I don't see what the issue is about it. I didn't even know there was an issue with it until I got onto FlossTube and Stitchmania and things. I didn't know it was a problem. But that's what I do. I do a lot of taboo things, I guess, in stitching. Maybe not a lot, but I do things like that. I don't really care. It's not your cross stitch, it's mine. Like, it's not as if you can tell. Did I just... Trying to unpick a thread is being annoying. I used to also hold the needles in my mouth until I found needle binders, and now I just don't put them in my mouth. I almost did just then, if you saw that. But it's just not my thing. See? Just licked it. Get over it, people. I'm sure you guys don't care. You don't seem like the type. Okie doke. What is the next question? What is going on? What brand of stitching frame or hoop or otherwise holder do you use? This is obviously Pars, and he made this, so Pars brand. I also use Q-snaps. That's probably the biggest, most obvious thing that I use. I will use a hoop if needed. It's not my preference because of the tension, but if I need to, I will. But yeah, I do love Q-snaps. I just love the tension. I've got the baby sampler on one at the moment, and I stitched on it last night. I was like, oh my god, I miss this. Because I've been stitching on this for a week. So, yeah, I do not mind it at all. So Q snaps. I'm hoping to get a Lowry stand for my birthday, so I can do some two-handed stitching on that. I've sent the link to my sister to send to my parents. Hopefully that happens. I messaged my mum the other day and I said, what do you think of my birthday present idea? She said, looks like it will last you a long time. And I said, that's the plan, considering how much it's going to cost. It is definitely something that I would very much enjoy. I'd like some scroll frames too for like my bigger projects, but they would have to work, if I get the Lowry stand, they would have to work with that. And I think that are the quantum frames too heavy? I've heard that. Though they would probably be my first choice for scroll frames just because of the amazing reviews I've heard from them. So let me know if you've got a Lowry and you use quantum. Does it work? How many projects have I finished? I probably couldn't tell you because I finished quite a few last year. I don't remember what it was. Here's the messy back. Welcome again. I don't remember how many. But yeah. I can't wait till this one's finished though. Obviously it's going to take me over a year to finish it, but over another year to finish it. But when it does, I think I'm probably actually going to cry. When I stitch that last stitch, I'm probably going to start crying. And some of you may think that that's silly, but this has been with me through a lot of stuff, this piece. I know it's only really been a year and a couple months, but since I've started it. But a lot of stuff has happened, and I've stitched on it during those times, so it will be very surreal when this is finished. And when it gets hung up on my wall, I think I'm going to look at it every day. I'm definitely going to sign this piece, for sure. Oh man, I need to find the next question. I shouldn't have put them on my phone. How many completed works are hanging up in your house? Hanging up is only one, but up in the house, so things that are actually resting on things so you can see them. Actually no, there's more than one. I've got one that's just above my stitchy spot, just up on that woodenish wall there, which is a piece I stitched for Matt in 2016, which is his favourite Pokemon in the evolution, which is Dratini to Dragonair to Dragonite. And Dragonite is up here, Dragonair's there, and Dratini's there. So I've already stitched them again, but not the whole thing. So that's hanging up there. Over on my wall unit, which is, okay, so you can see all my alcohol here. That is one I stitched for him for Christmas in 2016. It says, I would like to rage. And that's a quote from Critical Role, which is a D&D live stream. And then if you go back this way on the wall unit, there's my Eevees, my Evolution, Home is Where My Dogs Are, Marauder's Map by Clouds Factory, and Mini Solar System by Clouds Factory. Then in my stitching room, I've got 4 small pieces I stitched from Geeky Stitching Co. that are canvas finished, so they're wrapped around a canvas. They're Hug It Out, You Make Me Feel Gooey, Squeeze Me, and another one, which I can't remember. That's annoying. Oh, One Tough Cookie, or Life is Tough, but so are you. I think it's that one. Yeah, so they're the ones there, and I've got some things at the framers at the moment, which I'll talk about in my next update video, which will be soon. Do you stitch for gifts or for yourself? I've got about 6 questions left, by the way, and I'll try and stitch this block in that time. I stitched both. 2016, I stitched all my Christmas presents, which was intense. I do like to stitch gifts because people really notice. Well, I've found that my friends and family that I've stitched for get it. Like, they understand, especially my family, because they all do craft. They get how long it took me to do it, and they really appreciate it. Like, when I gave my mum her Christmas present in 2016, she was, like, really grateful, and that made me feel great. I couldn't do it last Christmas because of school, and I'm not going to do it again this year. I just don't have time to stitch that much. I'll probably do it again maybe when I have babies and I'm not working, but who knows if I'll even get time to stitch when I have babies. If I have babies. Who knows anything? So maybe one day again. But I do, like, I've stitched the sampler for my mum and dad for their anniversary. I'm stitching the baby sampler, like that kind of thing I can do because it's just another project. But it means a lot. I also stitch myself, obviously. I don't think that you can do this without stitching something for yourself every now and again, or most of the time. And at the moment, most of my projects are for me. And I don't think that's a bad thing. Alrighty. Oh, I didn't even look to see if that was in the next square. I didn't think it was. Looked like it was coming off the page before. I think I've got one colour left that I can actually do, and one, I'll see where it is because I could get it out without hurting the camera too much, I think. Favourite finished cross-stitch piece, that's very difficult for me. I really love Bluey's boots, the dog that I did. I love the Eevees. So many things. When this is done, it'll be this. But that's really difficult for me to answer. Worst experience while stitching? I guess frogging, whenever that happens, is difficult. Like, for example, on this page back here on page 6, I stitched this whole column here, so that kind of end column where bits and pieces are, and I realised I'd actually gridded wrong, because on Epic Pokemon, the first row on each page, apart from this one, is 11 stitches, and this one is 8, and I'd gridded it 10 and 8, so 8 was right, but this is meant to be 11 up here, so this was wrong, and it was all off by 1, so I had to unpick that whole row and do it again, and that is frustrating on a full coverage piece, because it sets you back, like that set me back a day and a half, and the amount of stitching I can do in a day and a half now, because that was while I was on holidays, is ridiculous. I can do so much during that time. That's probably, I guess, one of my worst I haven't had anything too bad happen. Like, I haven't had anything spilt or anything. The dogs haven't eaten anything. They're actually pretty good. They don't eat sentimental stuff. They eat a couch, sure. But they didn't eat the Christmas tree. They didn't eat my cross stitch. They're pretty good like that. What's the next? I'm trying to get through this a bit quicker because I'm almost finished. What do you love and hate about cross stitch? I love that this is art, that I'm creating something out of nothing. So I have a blank piece of Ada, and look at it now. Like, that's awesome. Obviously I didn't create the pattern, I'm following a pattern, but it's still my hands doing the work. I love the community that I've found, and I love the friends that I've made. It actually gets me a little bit like sentimental when I think about it, or emotional when I think about it, because these are people that I would never have met otherwise. Like someone like Adele, who has been with me through a lot of stuff, even though we've only been friends for like a year, and has given me things and has sent me stuff, and is just there for me whenever I need it. I'm like getting teary. Like, where do you find these people? It's insane, and it's amazing, and they do so much we all do so much for each other. And someone like Belinda, who is only really 2.5 hours away, which is amazing, who I can go to her house and just, for the first time 2 weeks ago, and feel like I've known her for years. Just sit in her house and stitch and hang out with the kids and just have a great time. And like chat with her husband about stuff like D&D and everything. Like, these people, it's like fate bringing people together. It's amazing. That's the biggest thing that I love about cross stitch. Sorry for getting teary. I think I'm okay. I just really, that's my absolute favourite thing about it. My least favourite thing is DMC metallic. That's not true. Sorry, my arm there. I'm using it on a piece at the moment, and it's not being the worst thing ever. It's behaving itself. So that's good. Just so you know, I've done everything I can do in this block, which is just here. There's one thread and one stitch missing here, which I can't get to because you're currently sitting on the box. I'm going to quickly finish off this tag. In terms of what I hate about it, I hate when the thread gets tangled. I hate knots. Should I like come into the frame, or should I just you can just look at this maybe. I don't know. Have I introduced anyone else to cross stitching? I introduced Matt. I'm trying to introduce one of my cousins too. The first project, did I finish it? In terms of this stint of cross stitching, yes I did. It was a little lamb. It was like this big. The 8, it was like that big, but it was so cute. It's like a marshmallow. How do I store my floss? And this is the last question. They are all on bobbins behind you and underneath you. You're in my IKEA trolley. They're on bobbins in floss boxes. And my hand dyeds are in a bag. The ones that haven't been started, like the weak Starbucks that I'm using for Clouds Factory, are on bobbins as well. So yeah. So that is my epic Pokemon tutorial. I don't know if I really answered any questions. I tried to kind of explain what I'm doing. If there's anything that you're confused about, let me know. I might just explain what I was trying to explain before if I didn't make sense before. So this colour here, which is black, if I can get it off the blue one, that one. I stitched all the black in this block here, and then I looked down and there was I looked down to park, and I parked it there. When I stitch the next block, which will be here, because I stitch diagonal, I go there, then there, then there, and I go across like this. So the next block will be here. I'll start another black thread there because there's no point me bringing that across and then having to bring it back down here and whatever. I just started there, and it'll just keep going down until I need to start a new thread and whatever. I think that makes more sense being able to see it. I hope so anyway. So thanks for watching. I hope you like my finish of page 7. It's a bit of a spoiler for my update, which will probably be happening on Thursday. I'm going to say it now, and I'll let you know if it changes. Thursday, my Thursday at 9 AM Australian time, Melbourne time. So I think that should be, it should be a good time for everybody. I will double check if it's not. And I'll put up an Instagram post about it as well. So 9 AM Thursday my time, which will probably be Wednesday for you, unless you're in New Zealand. It'll probably be Wednesday for you, probably Wednesday afternoon or night. I'm thinking it's probably going to go for about an hour, and I will update you on whips, finishes, new starts, haul, shout outs, miscellaneous stuff, and some plans and some updates to those as well. So thank you so much for watching. I hope that this made sense to you. If you have any further questions about how I do my epic Pokemon stitching, please let me know, and I will answer them in the live video, which will then be uploaded to YouTube. I'm going to try and make sure the chat is on for that, so if you have any questions while I'm talking, I can answer them for you, rather than having to answer it in the comments later. But it's okay if you miss it, then that's fine. So I hope this made sense. If it didn't, like I said, leave some questions. Message me on Instagram if you want to hang out and be friends. I'm always happy to hang out with people. Even if it is just messaging on Instagram, I don't care. Have a lovely rest of your day. I'm going to quickly edit this and upload it because I don't think it's going to take long to edit, thank goodness, but uploading may be a different story. Who knows? Yeah, have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you on Thursday my time, probably Wednesday yours. Bye everyone.